Alright, hi guys. Welcome to part 2 of the menu base tutorial. And in this part we're going to be making the load menu function that we haven't defined here. So let's get started. So now we're going to make our function starter function load menu, and then we want to make our argument menu to let MW2 know which menu we're loading, and we'll be later creating that. So now we're gonna have our self end on again. Self end on disconnect. And now we're gonna define all our menu variables. So self dot menu text equals an array. We're gonna have our self dot menu cursor equals an array. Oh sorry, not equals an array, equals 0. That's the starting point for the menu cursor. And yeah, and then let's say what I like to do is I like to make it I like to define my load menu, my menu, my arguments, so I can use it for the step function. So let's do self.rows menu equals menu, and we're just gonna have a last self.menu open equals true. Now we're gonna make our for loop. We want to run the text in a for loop, a for integer loop. So our variable in this for loop is gonna be I. So for I equals 0, I has to be less than self dot self dot row beast. These things will be later defined in my functions that I make. So self dot row the beast, self dot rows menu for menu, dot option dot size, so dot op dot size, and I plus plus. So it's gonna keep in what this does is gonna keep increasing until you hit the max option size. So then we're gonna make a string that holds our text. So it's gonna be string is gonna equal self dot row the beast, self dot rows menu dot opt, and then our variable I. And then we're gonna have a self dot menu text. We're gonna make our menu text equal something. So self dot menu text equals, and then we're just gonna get a function from here. Gonna copy and paste that into here, and then we're gonna have our font. Just make our font default. We're gonna make our font scale 1.3. Text is gonna be our string that we just done for this, and our point is gonna be make this menu center, and top, and then our x offset is gonna be 0, and then our y offset is gonna be our variable times the amount of spacing you want between the text. So maybe we're gonna put 18 for now, plus the actual y offset, so plus 70, let's say. Let's make the sort. The sort is just where it appears over all the HUD elements you have. So we'll make the sort 1337. We'll make the hide when in menu true, alpha 1, color let's have white, and then I don't want to use here, I want to equal anything, and then we're gonna end that and end our for loop. And now we're gonna go while loop. So it says while this, then you're gonna execute whatever piece of code you write after that. So while self dot menu open, and then we're gonna make another for loop in here, just to have our characteristics of our text, I guess. So for I equals 0 again, I has to be less than self dot row the beast, self dot rows menu dot up dot size I plus plus, and self dot menu text I, our variable after that, dot color equals 111. Just gonna have that. And also we forgot this, we have to put our variable after our menu text, and then in here text I, maybe now I want glow color, so dot glow color equals 0, 1, 0. And we're gonna end our for loop. And I guess we're gonna make a scroll bar on this, so we don't need to have menu text be highlighted on the menu cursor or anything. So now we're gonna have our button statement. So self, wait, we have to put a wait till again. Button, press, button. Now we're gonna have an if statement if button equals up. We're gonna have our make our self.menu cursor go up. So it's gonna be minus minus. And then we're gonna have a thing. So if it goes over the max amount of option size, we're gonna make it be set to the top. So we're gonna do. Let's go offline on Skype for a minute. And so we're gonna say if self.menu cursor is greater than or is less than 0, self.menu cursor equals self.row the beast self.rows menu dot up dot size minus 1 menu cursor plus plus, which means it just increases. That means self.menu cursor equals self.menu cursor plus 1. Then we're gonna have another thing. So if it goes like keeps going down, goes over the max amount of options, then it's gonna reset back to the top. So self.menu cursor, it's greater than self.row the beast self.rows menu dot up dot size minus 1 self.menu cursor equals 0. And now we're gonna do our for when we select an option. So we're gonna make it we're gonna self-thread whatever option is on self.menu cursor. So self-thread self.row the beast is my menu self.rows menu dot func, which will literally find my function that I create dot func self that's on the self.menu cursor, and then self.row the beast again self.menu self.rows menu dot arg self.menu cursor, and then just gonna close it and then close our statement. So we're gonna have now if we exit, so if button equals RB, and then we're gonna have another if statement inside this. So if self.row the beast self.rows menu dot parent equals none. So this means like if we're just on our main menu, then we're gonna self.menu open equals false, self freeze controls false, self thread destroy UI, and I'm gonna put a reminder for me to define that. And then we're gonna have an else, so anything else is gonna be self thread run sub menu self.row the beast self.rows menu dot parent. So if we go back like from a sub menu, it's gonna run the sub menu parent. And then we're gonna close our if statement, close our while loop, and we're gonna outside our while loop we're gonna put another for loop. For I equals 0, I has to be less than self.row beast self.rows menu dot up dot size I plus, and then we're gonna do have self.menu text I destroy. So when you're not in the menu, it's gonna destroy the menu text. And then we're gonna close our close our load menu function, and let's just quickly make a destroy UI right here. And quickly, what else do I need to define? I'm going to take that reminder out and create user interface. I'm going to define that, and then yeah, so far that's it. Now I don't need to define this anymore. I'm going to really leave a reminder saying define the menu structure. And alright, this is it for part 2. So you have your load menu function once again. You have all of this right here. And yeah, this is it for part 2, and part 3 will be coming up shortly. Thanks.